in the universities and without pondering innumerable tomes of erudition. History is filled with those who, almost overnight, acquired the wisdom and perspicacity their contemporaries spent years struggling for. Jesus went up into the temple and taught, and the Jews marveled, saying, "How knoweth this man letters, having never learned?" Jesus answered them and said, "My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man do his will, he will know of the doctrine." The American translation says, "How is it that this man knows his letters when he has never gone to school?" For those that want to look that up, that's John 7, verses 14 through 17. In effect, Jesus says, knowledge does not come from man and his attempts to arrive at truth. Rather, knowledge belongs to truth, the Father itself, which is the basis for all knowledge. A young woman I know was concerned about her lack of formal education. Because her activities required close contact with people of extensive formal education and training, she frequently felt ill at ease and unable to converse as well as she thought was acceptable or expected. She attended a lecture on reality one evening, during which time the little click of honest understanding occurred, which always happens when the personal sense of self is lost sight of for a moment. Well, since that time, even her closest associates have been astonished at her new poise, grace, and acumen. It's as though she had suddenly read 1,000,000 books. She cannot be fooled. She knows what is and what isn't. She knows the reality that is her identity. Indeed, she knows who and what she is. With this new understanding came quite an added thing, a joy of living that is an inspiration to see. Happiness follows that lady around like a puppy at her feet. The lump of gold illustration. Still concerning science and its observation of things, the following is an interesting point to ponder. Suppose a nugget of gold sits on the table before you. Right there is a nugget of gold, a lump of gold. Well, now what do you see? Do you see gold itself? Or with your eyes, do you see a group of qualities and attributes which you have chosen to name gold? You see yellow because the nugget is yellow. But is there any gold in yellow? No. Yellow appears because gold is. And instead of there being any gold in yellow, yellow is in gold. Or more accurately, yellow exists because gold itself is. You also see the form of that nugget up there. But there is no gold in form either. Form exists because gold is. And so it is with all the qualities and attributes of that nugget up there, that lump of gold on the table. What you see exists because something called gold is. But you do not see the basic primordial isness itself. The qualities, the characteristics, and attributes in toto are the grouping that has just been named gold. And they are all of gold that you ever really see and feel and measure and weigh. Yet, all of them together are still not gold itself. They exist because gold itself is. Now, using biblical language, one might say that yellow lives and moves and has its being because gold is. Yellow will exist just as long as gold is. It is as perfect in every way as gold is in being gold. Now, gold might very well say, yellow is my color in which I am well pleased. And gold, speaking as yellow, might say, I and my basis in being are one, yet gold is greater than I. Gold is the substance and the being of all the qualities and attributes of gold. Gold doeth the works. Gold is the value. So it is that awareness never sees primordial being itself, but sees qualities and attributes. Likewise, one never sees the principle of arithmetic itself. Rather, one sees the signs and the symbols, which are the principle of arithmetic made manifest, but are not the principle. There is no audible sound in the principle of music, yet we hear its melody through the application of its laws. The melody is not the principle itself, yet the melody exists because there's a principle. Principle is first, as all. Principle is alone, single, and pure. Well, obviously, so long as science is concerned with the tangible thing, with the thing, and the weighing and the measuring of the thing, it is not concerned with being, God itself, but only with measurable qualities and attributes of being. But being, isness itself, is the reality, the fact. It is the alone one, besides which there is none other, outside of which nothing exists, and because of which all qualities and attributes have their being. Everyone hopes to experience the absence of lack, limitation, pressure, fear, illness, disease. Everyone wants to experience an inner peace and tranquility. Well, there's a way to do it. But there's only one door to enter by. It has all to do with determining for oneself what is fact and what is fiction about oneself and reality. Now, vague ideas are not enough. It is innate and natural to want to know what fact from fiction. But for too long, someone else's word has been considered fact. Well, something's messed up here with my words, and maybe it is time for me to rest just a minute. I was saying that vague ideas are not enough, and that it is innate and natural to want to know fact from fiction. But for too long, we've taken someone else's word for what fact is. We have allowed the physicists and philosophers to tell us about ultimate reality. For centuries, mankind has been accepting mankind's answers to these questions. My minister says this, my church says that. The Bible, as interpreted by this one or that one, or somebody else says, and the university says, or they say. The question is, who am I? What is my identity? Only the one who asks, who am I, can answer it. No one can take someone else's answer. No one can take humanity's answer, or theology's answer, or philosophy's, or the universities. Their answer alone isn't good enough. No one can take the church's answer, nor even the Bible's answer alone. One must arrive at this understanding for oneself.